The app that's taken teenagers by storm
TikTok is used by millions of Americans.
Allegations that they're being used to spy on users.
Mr. Trump has accused TikTok of being part of disinformation campaigns that benefit China.
Represents a threat to U.S. national security, foreign policy, and the U.S. economy.
I'm just very convinced that TikTok is spying on me.
New leaked information shows that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, was planning on using TikTok's location data to spy on the physical location of specific Americans. Let me explain. Ah yes, TikTok, the Chinese app that has been saying for years that they do not spy on Americans. Well, as it turns out, that is a big fat lie. See, TikTok isn't really the one calling the shots. It's their Chinese parent company, ByteDance, that is calling the shots. A Chinese tech giant that has to answer to the every beck and call of the Chinese government. ByteDance has an internal audit team that literally spies on current and former employees for potential misconduct.
They had people inside TikTok saying everything is seen in China. They had a master admin person who, again, was disclosing that there was almost no checks on what could go back there.
It's important to understand that all technology companies ultimately answer to the governments of the countries in which they exist, where they're based, and where they operate. China is a far less free country, and there's far less protection of people's rights and people's personal information from the government. So the issue isn't whether right now TikTok is feeding information to the Chinese government. It's that they potentially could be doing so if the government so wanted.
That is not all that surprising, being that it's a Chinese tech giant, but what is surprising is that thanks to some whistleblowers on the inside, it's now been revealed that the internal audit team also planned to track the location of specific Americans via that neat little app called TikTok you have installed on your phone. What kind of specific Americans and why are they being targeted, you ask? Forbes didn't say to protect their sources on the inside, but I think you and I can probably guess. Maybe it's to spy on people that work at other competing social platforms, some good old corporate espionage. Or maybe it's for something far more sinister, like to spy on US government officials, activists, public figures, or maybe even journalists.
The Department of Homeland Security, the Pentagon, and the State Department have all banned the use of TikTok.
It creates a massive vulnerability of information that can be data mined.
It makes it easier to target people. It makes it easier for an intelligence service to either recruit or hack into systems used by a government employee.
At the FCC, we've also taken a look at other entities beholden to the CCP, whether it's Huawei, ZTE, China Mobile, and we see just a history of nefarious conduct, from business industrial espionage to blackmail. So there's a lot of reasons to be concerned, not about the videos, but the underlying data going back en masse to China.
But of course, TikTok has denied all these allegations, saying that we weren't gonna spy on specific Americans' locations. We only collect approximate location data to, quote, help show relevant content and ads to users, comply with applicable laws, and detect and prevent fraud and inauthentic behavior, end quote. When in reality, Forbes confirmed that the material shared with them showed that ByteDance was not going to use this location data to serve relevant ads or something innocent like that, but to literally, quote, surveil individual American citizens, end quotes.
This is the Chinese Communist Party using data sets for purposes of their own national security.
Through the control of the algorithm, China is able to influence American public opinion. We know that in 2020, the Chinese military used TikTok to incite violence on American streets. TikTok glorifies drug usage in America, and there are other things that they've been doing to interfere in our political process. With that data, China is able to feed it into its artificial intelligence systems, is also perhaps able to compromise American.
Yeah, TikTok is way worse than you could have ever imagined. The Chinese government has its tentacles in TikTok's way more than you could have imagined. Stay dangerous, and this is everything they don't want you to know about TikTok. TikTok is now worth almost $1/3 of $1 trillion. And it all started because they saw the trend, the gap in the marketplace for short-form video. That is the power of jumping on trends early. The problem is, finding trends that are just about to pop off is really hard. But lucky for you, that is where Trends comes in. Trends puts you on the next big startup ideas months before everyone else hears about them. That's because Trends has a team of top business analysts that vet thousands of upcoming startup ideas and market trends for you, and then they take the best ones that are about to blow up, and they email them to you every week. They've already outlined over 8,000 vetted business ideas that you could start in just a weekend. Plus, by signing up, you'll also get access to their Trends community that has over 15,000 ambitious like-minded people just like you that you can collab with to turn these ideas into reality. We are headed into a recession right now, but if you're trying to start a business, that's actually a good thing. Apple, Airbnb, Microsoft, Netflix, Uber, and many more were all started during a recession. So if there's a time to start finding the next big thing, it's right now. And Trends is the #1 resource for the job. Just take Narek for example. He was a Trends member who used their research to raise $1.5 million in funding. And what's cool is that it normally costs $299 a year to get access to Trends' valuable insight and community. But if you use my link below right now, you'll get a 7-day trial of Trends for just $1. And plus, even if you had to pay $299 right off the bat, all it takes is just one great business idea from Trends and it would pay for itself anyways. So pause the video and click the link below to get started right now. Thanks to Trends for sponsoring this video.
Although TikTok is the Chinese government's grand masterpiece for infiltrating and manipulating the West, TikTok was far from ByteDance's first try at surveillance and propaganda for the Chinese Communist Party. As you'll see, ByteDance's entire history is about serving as the Chinese government's surveillance, propaganda, and censorship arm. See, ByteDance had created this insane machine learning algorithm that adjusted someone's newsfeed based on the things they liked, spent the most time on, and other preferences. And years before TikTok came around, ByteDance would use this very same algorithm in a bunch of different apps that it released all over the world. But like any Chinese tech company, they learned very quickly that if their products couldn't somehow serve the interest of the CCP, the apps would just get shut down. At one point, the founder even had to publicly apologize for not serving his country better and promise that all ByteDance's technology would be, quote, guided, end quote, by CCP values in the future. A year before TikTok was released, ByteDance launched a news app that became pretty popular in the US, TopBuzz. It was basically the TikTok algorithm, but for news headlines. And TopBuzz employees basically were forced to only promote pro-CCP content with the unspoken understanding that if they didn't, quote, somebody was going to jail, end quote. But they were smart about this. They knew that no one in the West would be interested in seeing a bunch of super pro-Chinese news, so they only promoted soft pro-China messages instead of overt political statements. Their bosses were so paranoid about not angering the CCP, they even made TopBuzz employees share screenshots of all the content they posted, so they could be sure they weren't stepping on anyone's toes. Anything even a little critical of the government, like posts covering the protests in Hong Kong, would be taken down immediately. And when ByteDance bought another Chinese app called Musical.ly and merged it with the early stage version of TikTok, they were forced to take the same exact approach as TopBuzz. Employees were given guidelines for content restriction. Targeted material to censor included the Hong Kong protests in 2019, Tibet, and religious minority groups. Anything that would not please Beijing was either suppressed or simply deleted. But once TikTok became popular, Americans started getting suspicious, with Donald Trump threatening to ban TikTok altogether if they didn't sever ties with China, which put TikTok in a tricky position between two powerful countries who both wanted control of the billion-dollar app. If ByteDance wanted TikTok to survive and thrive in the US, they were going to need to do everything in their power to make it look like they had no control over TikTok, that TikTok really was an independent American company, completely separate from ByteDance, and by extension, the Chinese government. So TikTok started systematically covering up their ties to China. Unfortunately, they did not do a very good job. So whistleblowers and TikTok employees started sharing a completely different story. According to TikTok employees, in their work, TikTok and ByteDance are tied so closely together that it's almost impossible to tell, quote, where one ends and another begins, end quote. That boundaries between the two companies are, quote, almost non-existent, end quote. TikTok recruiters actually hire people to work in both companies at once. New hires have email accounts for both TikTok and ByteDance, and both companies even use the same workplace apps to communicate and share information. So to say that TikTok makes its own decisions about running the company without influence from China, yeah, that's a little more than stretching the truth. That's more like an outright lie. Even in America, TikTok employees have reported working double shifts and staying up all night so they could be available to answer questions for executives in Beijing. Game-changing product decisions don't go forward without, quote, talking to Beijing, end quote. Over and over again, these mysterious people in Beijing are making key leadership decisions for TikTok, and these American employees don't even know who their Beijing managers actually are. Even though TikTok claims it doesn't answer to the CCP, ByteDance's company policy agrees to share internal company communications with governments, including the Chinese government, when it deems necessary. You know, for things like assisting in law enforcement or government investigations. It's all part of being a good, responsible company, after all. Never mind the fact it's written in Chinese law multiple times that if they don't report or surrender data to the CCP when asked, they stand to lose everything. Or that TikTok employees were asked to submit sensitive information to .cn domains, the key internet domain for the People's Republic of China, like .us or .gov for the United States. And ByteDance doesn't even have to go through TikTok to access TikTok's user data. Turns out that if a TikTok employee is struggling to find something in their database, they can just ask a data team in China for help. Because all of TikTok's data is accessible to Beijing without TikTok needing to give authorization, which is the exact opposite of what TikTok has claimed.
In what ways does the government of the People's Republic of China exercise influence over TikTok's corporate behavior?
In no way, shape, or form, period.
In no way, shape, or form, period.
TikTok responded to these accusations by saying that Chinese ByteDance employees can access sensitive US data as long as they have been authorized to do so by a US-based security team. But this completely ignores the fact that this same US team must also report to ByteDance leadership in Beijing in order to do anything. But yes, that US-based security team definitely does have authority over their Beijing leaders. And after 80 meetings at TikTok were recorded and leaked, showing that US user data has been repeatedly accessed from China, and dozens of TikTok employees started blowing the whistle, things were not looking good for TikTok. They've had to find a way to make the American public and politicians happy, or else they would have to kiss the lucrative American market goodbye. They needed to make TikTok come off just a little more American. Ah yes, Project Texas. ByteDance's all-in attempt to save face with the American public and government. Because what could be more American than Texas?
I'm Texas. Howdy, y'all.
And TikTok loves talking about it every chance they get.
You may be familiar with Project Texas.
See, after all the whistleblowing and controversy, TikTok turned to Oracle, a Microsoft partner, for help. By working with Oracle, TikTok claims that they will move 100% of US users' data to Oracle's cloud, a massive server located in Austin, Texas. See, everyone? All your data is going to be stored safely right here in the US, and in Texas, no less. Look at how American we are now.
Right.
TikTok keeps claiming that this way, Oracle will be a source of accountability, a way to verify that, no, their user data isn't accessed by China. But according to Oracle, this isn't actually the case. They have other big-name clients that they provide this service for, like Bank of America, General Motors, and a bunch of others. And like all these other customers, TikTok will still have full control of everything that happens with their user data, with no input from Oracle. This lines up with a leaked conversation from an ex-TikTok employee. Quote, "It's almost incorrect to call it Oracle Cloud because they're just giving us bare metal. and then we're building our VMs, or virtual machines, on top of it, end quote. Oracle doesn't actually get to see anything that TikTok or ByteDance sees. They just provide the servers for them to use as they see fit. TikTok has tried other ways to show that Project Texas is a declaration of independence from its Chinese roots. There's a special team running Project Texas, and according to TikTok executives, Chinese nationals are not allowed to be part of it. But while this special US team is tasked with protecting sensitive American user data, it conveniently still has to report to Beijing. And the claim that 100% of US user data is going to be in this new safe home in Texas, turns out that's a lie too. Most of the data will also be stored at a center in Virginia, where ByteDance's offices in Beijing will continue to have access. No matter how much effort TikTok puts into hyping its shiny new makeover, the fact remains, physical location does not matter. As long as ByteDance, and by extension the CCP, is part of the picture, China can do whatever it wants inside those data centers. But if you thought that was it, you are sadly mistaken. TikTok is specifically programmed to monitor keystrokes, something that even other apps like Instagram and Facebook Messenger don't do. When TikTok users click on a link in the app and use TikTok's in-app browser, TikTok is monitoring all your keystrokes on whatever website you're browsing. This includes whatever you type or click on a page. Anything you type into a website, your credit card information, your password, your age, home address, or even political party, depending on the website, TikTok can capture it all. Many cybersecurity experts are disturbed by how sneaky this programming is. Quote, the assumption that your data is being pre-read before you even submit it, I think that crosses a line, end quote. Out of the 7 major social media apps tested, TikTok was the only one that did this, and none of the others monitored nearly as much activity as TikTok does. Despite all of this, TikTok is close to signing an agreement with the US to allow it to continue operations even while it remains under investigation. TikTok is already banned in India, Australia has launched its own investigation, and Ireland is now doing the same. See, China understands a fundamental truth. What the masses consume, they become. So what does China feed the masses in the West? Dancing videos, soft while China's version of TikTok, they feed their masses educational videos. Videos about science, technology, the arts, people being outstanding members of society.
It's quite literally as if Xi Jinping saw the social dilemma, because they've in the last 2 months rolled out a bunch of sweeping reforms that include things like, if you're under the age of 14 and you use Douyin, which is their version of TikTok, when you swipe the videos, instead of getting like the influencer dancing videos and soft pornography, you get science experiments you can do at home, museum exhibits, and patriotism videos.
Wow.
So you're scrolling and you're getting stuff that's educating, because they want their kids to grow up and want to be astronauts and scientists.
Yeah.
They don't want them to grow up and be influencers. They also limit it to 40 minutes a day on TikTok. For gaming, let me actually do the TikTok example. So they do 40 minutes a day for TikTok. They also, when you scroll a few times, they actually do a mandatory 5-second delay saying, hey, do you want to get up and do something else? China said, hey, we don't want people mindlessly scrolling, so after you scroll a few videos, it does a mandatory 5-second like interlude. They also have opening hours and closing hours. So from 10 p.m. until 6 in the morning, if you're under 14, it's closed.
It's easy for this YouTube channel to cover corruption, fraud, and censorship between ByteDance and China. But there are some topics that are just a little too disturbing to cover in a public video without getting demonetized. Like China's profitable business of forced organ harvesting, where they harvest the organs of prisoners to sell to wealthy Westerners in need of an organ transplant. That way, people don't have to wait years on a Western transplant waiting list. Obviously, this video wouldn't fly on YouTube, so we released it as a private documentary, available only to members of this channel. and you can watch it right now by clicking the join button below. It's by far our most disturbing documentary yet. We're really proud of it. And you get a private documentary every single month like this, along with all our previous ones when you join. And there's a refund policy too, unlike most YouTube memberships. So if you join and you don't think it's worth it, email us within your first month of joining for the first time, and we will personally refund you for your first month. After your first month, there is no refund. So scroll down and click that join button below now.